We are Counterculture Inc. How's everybody doing tonight? Wild, huh? Wild. We almost forgot to record the audio on our first podcast. How many people do you think will watch this? Are we going to do audio?
Audio what? What do you mean?
Audio, like, are we going to put this on audio platforms?
Yeah. I mean, we should. How much extra do we have to put into that?
It's really not. We just got to create the RSS feed like you did the other day.
I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. So I've had, I don't know how many people explain that to me, and I go, can y'all just fucking do it?
I was like, Reagan, it's like you got to build, like, the podcast is your car. Mm-hmm. And the RSS feed's like the road that you got to put in front of your car so your car can travel. And you're like,
but you have to know how to work on the car, and I can't do that.
So this is like the main podcast for Counterculture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe we'll make a Counterculture RSS feed that has multiple shows on it. This will be the first one though.
So what brought you here? Like what are we doing? I guess how do we explain that?
Yeah. All right. So
how would you explain that to me? Like if someone came and asked you, like, what the fuck y'all doing?
You hold it cooler than me. You're like, is it like this? Oh yeah, it's like girthier. All right.
I don't know. You kind of turned. It seems gayer now that you grabbed it. You just grabbed. Yeah, you did one of these.
All right. So Counterculture. Mm-hmm. If I was explaining it to somebody who didn't know, Antihero Podcast got kicked out of our media company for.
What'd you
do? We asked the CEO to have a backbone,
to just back us a little bit. I mean. It's only $200,000.
It was like, all right, maybe it was a mutual split. It was much like a relationship breakup.
Yeah.
Like, you could look at it. He broke it off, or he broke it off, but we split mutually essentially. And like we were like, well, we have to have a media company. And everyone's like, why? I had learned. Now, granted, being on Fox News, I learned a lot about what a media company could do. What it could do.
Right, yeah.
Fox News didn't grow enough to do any of that, but I was like, okay, so I learned. So I was like, well, I have this like wanting to do like the type of company, the media company that I would want to be a part of doesn't really exist in our culture.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's create one. And I had brought
what type are you talking about? Like what's the type? What is your type?
I don't know, like a Barstool Sports, but for like first responders and veterans, like where they can get news, current event, they can get, and like we were talking to bloggers, and I was like, I want you're controversial. I want your opinion on this subject. As long as you cover the facts, I don't care if you say this is my opinion about it, because that's what turns a blog from an author or an editor into like a something rather than just an article on it. Like it's like, I get it, everybody just wants their news square up, but other people want their news from people that they trust. Mm-hmm. They want to hear what Reagan has to say about.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, like they just like,
I don't know about that.
You know, if I'm getting my news from somebody, I want to get it from people like you kind of like, you want it biased because we all want.
I think the Earth is flat, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the Earth is flat.
Say it.
I don't know if they want the news from me.
So, oh my shit! Why is my kid texting me at?
Was that a novel? I think I saw a novel. Something bad.
Once my white Nikes don't fit me, can I get these? They're only $60.
Only 60. That's all. That's it.
How the fuck's he texting me at noon on a school day? He's grounded from his phone. How does he even have this?
Are you serious? Oh, well.
Hold on.
You gonna spank him?
Are you gonna spank him?
How old is he again? 12?
Yeah.
He's
taller than me.
He's bigger than you. Yeah, I'm gonna beat his ass. Oh, that's funny. Real time.
I edit out a lot of the pauses and stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, the one time I need to talk to her, she doesn't answer.
You know what we should do? We should have do you have a piece of paper?
Counterculture.
We just spell it wrong.
We'll do it for the next one.
Okay, all right.
Counterculture.
We started this new media. We're doing great. It's going well.
All right, yeah. So that's where I had brought. When I say I had brought, like I'd vouch for you. Like I wanted you guys. Like I brought you with me to Fox.
Yeah.
A couple other
that.
podcasts, and then
Which I love the idea of that, by the way. Like I still, of the name.
The truth?
Well, yeah. Well, just the whole idea of the Guy Fawkes and spelling it, Fawkes? Is that how you spell it? Like Guy Fawkes. So I love the idea of all that. And I'm like, man, this is so good. When I first saw you out at Shell Shock, when that whole, the Libs Down Under came out and, all mad at you guys about the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff.
Yeah.
I go, but when I went the night before to like the half comedy, half live show and everyone just hanging out, interact, I'm like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
This is what needs to happen. There needs to be more of this going on.
Multiple times a year.
Yeah. And then they were telling me that, like, this is what we want to do. We want to have hosts in different, like, major areas of the country. And then they host it. We fly out, set up everything. And that concept was, I think, still is genius.
Yeah, I think that, like, and we have sponsor. We essentially have sponsor the event. So, like, because how truthful do we get? Do we get truthful about
We could.
funding?
And then if you decide to edit it out, you can.
I mean, I just don't.
Or you could even bleep it. You could say, whenever you say a name, just bleep it out. Yeah, you could do that.
But, like, essentially, it doesn't really cost any money to have a media company other than you have to pay for the media company platform. So, like, all the podcasts where you're like, oh, I'm on Spotify for free or on Podbeam for free. Those are all just for if you want to start a podcast, you can absolutely have one for free. If you want to have a network, it costs a lot of money.
Because we're covering all of them, right? All of their costs?
Yeah, they don't pay anything. We pay as a network. We have to pay. I think our first payment is due in March. We got the.
How much is that again? What is it? Is it 5?
I think so, yeah. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Hey, did Eli take his phone to school?
Yeah, he did. I just was literally going to ask you if he was allowed to use it.
Because he texted me, can I get this pair of shoes? I'm like, the fuck? I didn't even think.
Pair of shoes?
He wants a new pair of shoes. Like, once my Nikes don't fit, can I get these? And I'm like, how you're at school.
Why is he already thinking ahead? He just bought those.
Yeah.
And we got them big.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure he was allowed to take his phone because he asked if he could have his phone.
I told him he was.
So he just took his phone?
Yeah. I thought you said you were going to offer to have him be done, but then last night you were like...
Well, I haven't finished that conversation with you because he... I thought he clapped back, and you were like, no, it's more like he was being a fucking retard. So that's when I asked you, like, okay, do I need to punish him or talk to him like a retard? And you said no.
Was today his last day?
Today he was getting it back. So maybe he just thought, like, okay, because I told him last night, today you get your stuff back on Friday. So maybe that's why he took it.
Okay. If you told him that, yeah, I didn't know.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure you didn't tell him that. Okay. Yeah. I'll talk to you more about it later. We're live. We're not live. We're recording.
Yeah. Be like, focus is like.
Yeah. Appreciate what you have.
What you can get now. Like, it's been a thing lately, and your mom's texting me saying, like, where does he want me to bring him? Like, it's okay. All right.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Anyways, we're back.
We're back, baby.
All right, so that's kind of like where we wanted to.
But I love the idea of all that, and then when I just watch you guys interact and do your thing, and then just let people come up and talk and hang out. Like, you want to get on the podcast? You want to talk?
Yeah.
And I remember when you asked me, I hadn't even come out yet. I was still in the closet, and
you were like, not only were you at the back of the bar, you were at the back of the bar.
Yeah, I was like, I do not want any camera because I'm not really supposed to. I'm just kind of trusting everybody. And but I knew it was going to happen soon anyway. So
that was Shell Shock. That was back in October.
Dude, that was such a fun time. Which, by the way, I had one goal in life, and it was to make Content Unbecoming the biggest apparel brand in the world. Now I think it's changed to getting you to crowd surf again, because you said on the podcast you're like, never again. I'm like, now I just want to get him. I just want to get video of him crowd surfing again.
I've never been manipulated like that again. You were like, dude, you won't do it. You won't do it. You won't do it. I was like, okay.
And it's because I told my buddies this from high school, and I showed him the clip, and he said, he's like, oh yeah, I see that. He goes, you're just so persistent on, like, when you've been drinking, like we have to go do this, boys. We have to, like, crowds. Like, it's gonna be fine. You convince everyone. We could go run into oncoming traffic. You convince us to do it.
I'm telling you, I was like, I haven't crowd surfed in like 15 years.
But in my mind, when you got up there, I'm like, oh, I have to make sure. I'm like, oh shit, like, am I strong enough? Like,
and you're taller than everybody there. So
just these kids, like, that was so fun. I forget. I had a blast.
yeah, so that's kind of why we started it. There's no money in it other than we have to pay dues and fees and stuff. But we're hoping to get like sponsors and stuff.
Eventually, it'll pay off. Maybe like 5-10 years. That's the goal, is to like,
because we're not taking any money from it.
Yeah, at least have it pay. Which that was kind of an issue with. So, I mean, we could talk about this here, but because if anybody listens and they think they want to be a part of it, I get my whole idea for this is to not split everything evenly, which I know that was an issue previously.
Yeah, it doesn't work that. It's communism, looks good on paper, but right. It does not play out.
If you're doing more downloads, putting out more content as content creators. We're content creators. But as you're putting out that more videos and getting more downloads, you're adding more value to the company. You should get a bigger piece of the pie. So overall percentage out of 100, if you're getting 90% of the downloads, you should get 90% of the revenue from the ads. That's the most capital way to look at it. So there's the spectrum of like the communist way where like everybody gets a fair piece, no matter who performs well. And then there's the ultimate capitalist side, which is like if you get 90% of the downloads, you get 90% of the money. So and people listening, they're going to go, well, you guys are getting most of the downloads. Well, first of all, as far as right now,
he just created an RSS feed.
Yeah, we have the least amount of downloads. At least the Unbecoming Podcast.
He was like, "What's audio platforms?" Yeah, because in all reality, the network has nothing to do with YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, which this will be on, but the bread and butter, essentially the profitable part of it and where everybody gets paid is all audio downloads. Yeah. So we're trying to do this thing where like, all right, if Antihero gets 90% of the downloads for the network, in theory, okay, Antihero doesn't want any of the money. Because we have, it's not like a fucking asshole. We have too many sponsors.
Well, I mean, that's a good, it's a good problem, but you should though, because I mean, look where we're at right now. You've been able to use the money that the sponsors have given you. They believe and trust in you to like grow what you guys are doing. They want to keep seeing you succeed. They're like, dude, we just want to be a part of it. We love what you guys are doing. And then now you're moving into this. Now you got a freaking 2,000 square foot studio. Like, this is cool. Like, so I view it from like right now, the money is better in your hands. Like I tell Brennan this all the time. That's why I gave him half the company. He didn't buy into it or nothing. I said, the company's gonna be better off with you leading it.
Conduct?
Yeah, conduct. I gave him half. Damn. I said, and
people will 49 or 50?
Well, so it needs to be either 51% or 49.
You're right. You run into issues where if both people are cool with that, like both
someone
people
needs to be
the final say all. But it's the guy with it's the person with like the better like vision. Like I feel like you should be 51% of conduct because you know where it's going, but you're like, I need you to get me there as a partner. But like when someone's like,
you can put
where are we going? You need to be like the tour, not the tour guide, the platoon guide. Like I know where we're going.
I'm the driver.
I'm driving.
And Brennan's the engine, and he's like, let's look, and like doing all the back shit. Like that's exactly how I view it, and that's why I told him. But when I just say half. But yes, someone needs to have the final say in case we're at a split. Like a decision needs to be made, whether it's right or wrong, like, to move forward.
Me and Brent are at 50-50. That was we had talked about 51-49 when we first got together. So like I started the Antihero Podcast, and about 7 or 8 months later, I got with Brent. I proposed a partnership, and I was like, I think you should be a great co-host. At the time, I didn't propose a partnership. I proposed him being a co-host, and I didn't know if he'd want to be like, you pay me X dollars a month, I'll come co-host with you, like a contractor, or if he wanted to be part of the business. At the time, the business was like $600 in my bank account.
Right, yeah. So that was 2 years ago, right? And
not even a year and a half ago.
Dude, and you were just in your room. You showed me today, like in y'all's room, you had your setup, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you did it, like, and now you're in a studio.
Yeah, so it's and I remember when I was making the LLC, we had talked a couple times about who would be 51-49, and in my head I'm like, I would be 51, and I don't think he would ever argue that, but he was like, Brent Tucker is a lot. If you're in control, he will let you guide the ship. but he's like any man, but he is a Delta Force operator. If he feels like he needs to take the wheel, he'll take the wheel.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against you, but he's going to make sure it gets there.
Well, yeah.
So
it's like any relationship.
Yeah.
In general. Right?
Yeah. So I was like, I think he just wanted to make sure, like, no, I've got this ship. Just hang out.
Yeah.
So, but when I made it, I was making the LLC. We got our first big sponsor. We got GhostBed. And GhostBed required an EIN for tax purposes. And we didn't want to be like, oh, we don't have one. So we had to go create an LLC. And I had to create it quick because GhostBed was waiting like on us. And, I got to do the fucking Google AdSense thing too. Don't let me forget. And so I was like, I had to create one. And I was like, I'm not going to create without clarifying with Brent. Yeah. I'm 51 and you're 49. I thought that was a fucked up thing to do. So I just made it 50-50. Now, we agree on pretty much everything. Yeah. And when somebody wants to do something, the other one usually just goes, okay, this is your thing. So, but there are times where you're like, somebody has to be like, I'm making this final call. Like this place.
But a lot of y'all, the reason y'all are able to do it, and I've learned this through, I wouldn't even say mistakes, but just listening to people smarter than me over time and having failed businesses previously, they always say when you get into business with someone, you have to make sure you can think differently, but if your morals and ethics, your principle, all those align pretty similar, because you're not going to change someone's morals, right? Ethics is usually like established by a company. This is the code of ethics that we live by. Morals,
if you want to work for the company,
are established in you, and they've even, I can't name the study or anything, but they were talking about how
I can't bring facts.
I can't bring don't expect facts. Look it up for you. Fucking Google it. But they were talking about how this is scientifically they've measured you can't change someone's morals.
Because you're a grown ass adult.
High. Yeah,
you could barely change him in a kid.
I mean, it's like trying to train an old dog new tricks, right?
Yeah.
Is it impossible? No, but majority of the time it's not going to work out well, right? So, and we all agree with that line of thinking, but when it comes to people, it's like, oh, people can grow. People can be better. You can make mistakes. I tell Brandon this all the time. You can make as many mistakes as you want. I don't care. As long as it's nothing morally wrong, then we're good. We can figure all the other stuff out. You could cost us $5,000, $10,000. I've cost us a shit ton of money, just with mistakes that I make. But if it's a moral issue.
That, or if somebody is thinking one of the biggest things is everybody has to understand you can't just do what you want.
What do you mean?
If you had an employee that was you tell them to do something and they're like, yeah, you look at these liberal Google places, or where when Joe Rogan was running into Spotify issues back in the day, the employees were taking it upon themselves. Spotify was stop. Was it Spotify? Yeah. They were stop doing it, and the employees were taking it upon themselves to put
Spotify
their
was fuck off,
liberal antics all over everything and going public. And Spotify was all right, we do not represent what you represent, but they were strong arming. They're no, and so that's what I was saying. You can't have an employee that's I'm going to do what I want anyways.
Yeah, and then
big or small.
Then people are going to say you can't hire a liberal if you're a conservative. What would you say?
Man, depends on what you want them for. Uh-huh. So if you got if
you need a pink hair, blue haired.
Well, in our world, we're used. All right, in a world where dudes put on boots for work.
You're trying to hold my hand right now? Is that what you're doing? They're a little close.
Dudes put on boots for work.
When dudes come together and put on.
And then we try to go into this world. You are now venturing into other lanes where dudes don't wear boots. They are nerds, but they still might hold the same values as you. Finding a real producer. I found an audio engineer, producer, an actual producer, somebody that can take a bunch of equipment and make a studio, and you don't have to they don't have to be on YouTube for 90 hours. Mm-hmm. I found one finally, a firefighter that left the job to do this full time, but he had to work he had to have overlappage for years before he could leave the job, and he's out of Lake County, I think, a couple counties over, and so, but that's a very rare thing.
Yeah.
Usually, you're having to hire people that
train them, and
they're just they're not about your world. They're about that computer.
Right.
So they're just taking, and that's the problem with like them editing is like they don't know, like a firefighter podcast, they don't know how to like edit it. Like, oh yeah, this is going to pop with the community.
Yeah.
They're just going to edit it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, or, you know, especially when you move into like the entertainment industry, like when we did Shell Shock, everyone we fucking dealt with was a liberal.
Oh man.
All the bands.
Do you think they actually are liberals or they're just?
No, I take that back. The whole market is a liberal market. So the fans are liberal. So the fans of these bands that we originally had on Shell Shock, all of the fans are liberal fucking woke mob Antifa pieces of shit that claim they're hardcore punk.
Oh hell.
Yeah. And so the bands, I talked to most of the bands, other than the singer of the main band Evergreen Terrace, he's either gay, trans, or just femme as fuck. But like we found out after the fact, people were sending me videos like, "What'd you think this guy was going to do?" And I was like, "I didn't research."
So maybe that's my fault.
Yeah, he said the same thing about us. I didn't research them, which is a fucking lie, anyways. But other than like the singer, and I know the main guy from Evergreen Terrace, the guy who runs it, like the business is. I talked to him on the phone. He's a cool dude. He's a liberal. He's a guitar player. Starts with a CH. Anyways. Me and him had a great conversation, but it was ended with, I do not believe in your values, you don't believe in mine.
Right.
But we agreed that like the whole thing was a fucking shit show, and it got hijacked by everybody else, and none of us wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I blame them, and they blame us.
But what originally caused all that?
Kyle Rittenhouse was,
which if you haven't seen the episode, the Antihero Podcast, which was probably the best breakdown. Not probably, is the best breakdown and full story that I've seen about him and like the full
the
length of the
episode? Yeah.
Because I didn't know, because I was listening to that episode and I was like,
I didn't know they were
holy
white.
Shit.
The people he shot were white people.
No, and
they had guns.
The dude got he got hit in the back of the head. I don't know how many times with like bricks or rocks or something
before he actually pulled the trigger.
Before he had so much restraint. Like he's like, I do not want to shoot these people. And they're yelling at him, I'm going to kill you. Yeah. I'm going to come back and kill you. And he was
trying to get away, too.
Yeah. And then he's like, which just goes into the police, why they don't do shit. But he's like, you can see him from a block away. And
I hope that kid's doing all right. That white kid.
Know that they're like, man, he better fucking run. If I was a cop, I'd like, run, dude. We can't come over there.
And I mean,
but that sucks because I'm sure there was a lot of that, like because they have to hold their lines and all that too, because there's a bigger, I don't know, like I don't want to say battlefield plan because that's gonna sound too militarizing the, how do you say it? Militarizing the police community.
They didn't want to put themselves in situations where they'd have to pull the trigger.
Yeah,
unless they absolutely have to go there.
But Kyle
did.
but he had his med kit.
Yeah,
he was out there like legit trying to help people.
But
had so much restraint. But y'all broke that down, and that's what made everything crazy, if I'm not mistaken.
No. We did Kyle Rittenhouse after that. What happened was Kyle Rittenhouse was like, we were reaching out to anybody that we were trying to raise money for PTSD through the Cat 2 Foundation. And influencers were asking, how can I help? And I was like, hey, you can show up to this event. That would really help. So a lot of them did. Platinum Mike Perry, King Pix Media, some other people that showed up. And Kyle Rittenhouse was one. So we put him on the website. Like we put him on Instagram. Like he was up for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, then Josh, one of the dudes that hangs around all the time, loving to death, he posted a story that says, raise your hand if you're going to Shell Shock. And it was Rittenhouse trying to flag somebody down. He had just shot him, which caught fire.
So what, does it look like the Nazi?
No, it's a picture of Rittenhouse like calling somebody, but it's like, raise your hand if you're going to Shell Shock. Then Josh's dumbass didn't even fucking show up to Shell Shock. He set it on fire and walked away.
He did the U special, like you said, just plant the bomb and then leave.
Dude, so it fucking turned into a shitstorm. All the bands dropped off within 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, you called me, and I was at work.
And you were like, I'm literally going to do nothing with my life now other than combat this issue.
I go,
I am in.
I will be there because I wasn't going to go. I was like, oh, then that's cool. Like that y'all are going to do all that stuff. I thought it was badass. But then all this happened and I was like, no, you have to do it. And you were like, yeah, I'm still going to do it. And whatever, like we're going to make it happen. Because then at the end of the day, you can at least, even if none of the bands ended up coming, like you weren't able to find bands or whatever, everyone came to, like you'd still showed up. And I think that says a lot to, like, no, I'm still going to fucking do this.
Yeah.
Because then if you just quit and didn't do it,
They win.
They win. Exactly.
Yeah, so we're going to do Shell Shock again. It's going to be on a much smaller scale. I'm literally going to pay no one to be there because we paid for flights and rooms for a lot of people to come.
Do you want to talk about how much you had to eat?
We ate like $26,000, I think.
Yeah. And the fucking troll will come in and be like, it was a failure, like I told you.
Yeah.
But how many cops and firefighters or whoever can say that they try to put on a fucking festival for veterans like PTS, so like have everyone come out, and then had all these like Platinum Mike Perry and like all these guys come out and try to bring everyone together to just fund, because you didn't want to line anything with your pockets. You weren't trying to raise money for veterans.
Yeah.
of PTSD,
Oh yeah, we weren't
like
going to make
Cat
a fucking dollar from it.
Yeah. So, and then you still knew, you were like, man, I'm going to eat a lot of money, but I want to make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm that stubborn.
But that's a good. I think that's what, like, all that made me. I'm like, oh, I'm fucking in. And this was too when I was still battling in my head if I wanted to even like come out or don't want people to know who I am. But I was still like floating with that idea. But when all that happened, I go, this is what all this is about.
Yeah.
Right? Like times like this is when you come to the fork in the road and you make a decision. You go back to safety. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
What's
doing
safe?
good now, or do I like stand on what I believe in, whatever that is, you know, whether it's right or wrong, but you make that decision and you believe in your heart you're right. You're not getting swayed by outside opinion, even if it's 1,000 people and you're the only one that believes it, but you stand on what you believe and you're not easily swayed.
Yeah.
It's like the same with all the COVID stuff. And so that's what I thought was really cool about that. But it's wild that still with the Kyle Rittenhouse story, that with all of his information out there, that he was the victim.
Yeah.
And that's
It doesn't matter. That's the most controversial dude on the fucking planet, apparently.
Yeah.
And dude, we were in the Rolling Stone magazine, like, and I had people call me after the fact. The band rep, the manager for Evergreen Terrace,
Yeah.
the headlining band that backed out, called me like 2 days after Shell Shock, or maybe it was right before Shell Shock, and goes, "Bro, I'm sorry, dude." He's like, "I'm seeing the fucking money pot opportunity that Shell Shock was." And I told him, I was like, I told you when it started going down, like the day it started going down, I was like, this is all part of the plan. Everyone would benefit from it, though.
Yeah.
All the bands would benefit from it. A lot of cross collaboration and lifestyles. Everyone's going to benefit from this being in the news. But this was all part of the plan.
Yeah.
Them backing out like
Yeah.
was not part of the plan.
Not very punk
They
rock.
took their ball and went home, and we had no ball to play.
Yeah.
So not very punk rock.
Well, that's the. And I remember you made that video, and I'm like, that's funny.
Dude,
That's very
then-
it's like, what? How punk rock are you to?
Oh, then the fucking Loudwire ran with that. They ran a special like, oh, CEO and owner of Shell Shock Festival. And I'm like, they have no idea. Shell Shock is like not a festival.
Yeah.
It's a fucking local show. And I'm the CEO. I'm in my backyard, 40 beers in, CEO of Shell Shock.
Showing up. Like, what's the plan? I don't fucking know. Just
I'm
what's the plan,
fucking
bro?
drinking beer in my backyard, calling people out.
I just brought bands together and I got a venue.
He
and
said
we're-
the woke mob.
But,
But yeah, it's not punk rock to follow the status quo is good is not punk rock.
right.
It's that the status quo is no good. That is literally you can't. And I say this about punk rock: you cannot package it and sell it at Hot Topic. You just can't. Punk rock is a spirit, and you can't
I love that
confine it. I do love that. The old Hot Topic, was
Yeah.
way
yeah.
better.
I haven't seen one in a long time, but I haven't been to the mall. And
Have you been in? I was gonna say there's no malls anymore.
yeah, they have a Hot Topic store on Amazon or something, I'm sure. But all the band T-shirts. But so going back to that, when y'all made all that happen, and then like I said, it was a blast and still cool. I'm like, this is so cool. Like you got all the vendors set up, you had everyone come out. I'm like, this. I remember I was telling Brittany at the time, I was like, dude, this is cool. Like, who's doing this? And so, but the fact that y'all still went ahead and did it when people were putting out all these hit pieces on you guys.
Oh
and
shit! It was fucking. When I say they sent out, and it was such an orchestrated strike, like fast and efficient, and so many people, like thousands of people flooded the Instagram page like on a command. Like, hey, it was like an email was put out. So then I was like, okay, I was thinking. Then I started looking at these profiles. They were Antifa people.
Yeah.
An email was sent out to Antifa that said, hey, we have a conservative music festival that let's let them know that they're cooked. Like
some racist pieces of
yeah,
shit.
let's let
over
them
in
know.
Orlando.
So one of them here in Orlando, this guy, I don't know his name, but he owns Spark Booking, and he's a giant piece of shit. But then somebody sent me one of the bands that backed out, but they didn't agree with why they had to back out, sent me a video of a kid at one of their shows, and like they got rowdy. It's a hardcore show.
Yeah.
Broke a light. The guy threatened to fucking shoot and kill the kid.
Who?
The guy from Spark Booking who led the charge against the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. Like, dude, they are hypocritical fucking homos. Gay retards is what they are.
Gay Antifa trannies.
This will be the first podcast you see with gay and retard in it. Thanks, Trump.
With active cops and firefighters.
This will be the last podcast we have a job.
People ask me all the time, how do you still have a job? I was like, I have no fucking idea, bro. I just keep showing up to work, and I'm still there.
We are Counterculture 8. How's everybody doing tonight?